Hi, everyone. Listen carefully. You were not born to quit. You were not designed to fold under pressure. Everything God created, He created with a built-in purpose. And purpose is what gives you power. The fact that you're breathing right now is evidence that your assignment is not finished. Struggles do not cancel purpose. Pain does not mean it's over. The problem is not the storm you're facing. The problem is you've forgotten what's inside you. The seed of greatness is never planted in comfort. It's buried deep in the soil of adversity because pressure reveals potential. You don't test the strength of a ship in the harbor. You test it in the waves. So, the fact that you're facing resistance, that's a sign you're on the right path. If there was nothing in you, life wouldn't fight you so hard. You are too important to give up. Someone's future is tied to your perseverance. Someone's deliverance is waiting on your decision not to quit. You don't have the luxury of giving up. Because purpose doesn't die in difficulty, it dies in disobedience. Pain is a universal language. It does not discriminate. It visits the rich and the poor, the educated and the unlearned, the spiritual and the skeptic. But pain was never designed to be your destination. It was meant to be a passage. That's why you must understand this truth. Purpose is greater than pain. If you do not grasp that, you will misinterpret the season you're in and abort the process that was supposed to elevate you. God never gives purpose without pressure. In fact, the greater the purpose, the greater the resistance. Look at Joseph. He had a dream as a teenager, a clear sense of destiny. But instead of immediate promotion, he was thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. But the pit did not cancel the promise. The pain did not delete the dream. The scripture says in Genesis 50:20, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. That's the principle. God does not waste pain. He repurposes it. Now, let me ask you something. How do you respond when life doesn't look like the prophecy you received? When the process contradicts the promise? Many people give up not because they don't have purpose, but because they misread pain. They assume pain means God has left them. But sometimes pain is proof that you're right on schedule. When a woman is giving birth, the pain increases as the delivery gets closer. That's not a sign to quit. It's a sign that what she's carrying is about to be revealed. Could it be that the pressure in your life is not the enemy's attack, but God's confirmation? Think about this. Gold doesn't become gold until it's tested by fire. Diamonds are not formed in the light, they're formed in pressure deep underground. A seed doesn't fulfill its purpose on the surface. It has to be buried. It has to endure darkness, isolation, and resistance from the soil. But inside that seed is an entire tree. Inside that pain is your purpose trying to push through. There's a reason most people never walk in the fullness of what they were created to do. It's not because they're not gifted. It's because they quit in the furnace. They quit when it got uncomfortable. But if the furnace could kill you, you would already be dead. You're still here because there's more in you. Something inside you refuses to die, even when everything outside of you says it's over. So I challenge you. What if your pain is a disguised preparation? What if your breakdown is clearing the way for a breakthrough? What if the closed door wasn't a rejection, but a redirection? What if God allowed it not to stop you, but to shape you? You must understand that the enemy of your soul is not just after your joy, he's after your endurance. Because if he can get you to stop, he can delay what was meant to deliver others. Your pain has purpose beyond you. That's why you can't quit. That's why you must not give up. Because your story is not just about your survival, it's about someone else's hope. Don't measure your future by your feelings, measure it by your assignment. Feelings change, but purpose remains. Every person carries something within them that the world needs. But what's inside of you can't emerge without a process. And often that process is uncomfortable, even painful. That's why adversity is not your enemy, it's your mirror. It doesn't just come to shake you, it comes to show you what's inside you. Because adversity reveals potential. Potential is hidden power. It's ability that hasn't been seen yet. You never know how strong a bridge is until weight is put on it. You don't know how much pressure a foundation can carry until the storms hit. In the same way, you don't know your own capacity until life presses you. If everything around you was always easy, predictable, and safe, you would never tap into what you truly carry. Think about an olive. It doesn't release oil until it's crushed. The value of the olive is not in its appearance, it's in what's hidden inside, and that doesn't come out without pressure. In the same way, what gives your life impact is not what people see on the surface. It's the oil of wisdom, strength, endurance, and resilience that comes through adversity. Sometimes we pray for God to use us, to increase us, to expand our territory. But we don't realize that increase often comes through inconvenience. Growth comes through stretching. Strength comes through strain. So when the challenges come, when the doors seem to close, when people walk away, the question is not, why me? The real question is, what is this revealing in me? When you face disappointment, does it reveal bitterness or trust? When you're overlooked, does it expose insecurity or character? When plans fall apart, do you collapse with them or find another way forward? These are the moments that define who you are becoming. Not the platform, not the applause, but the private pressure that shapes you behind the scenes. Consider this. How do you build a muscle? Resistance. The more weight you push, the stronger you become. No resistance, no growth. In the same way, every challenge you face is building spiritual, emotional, and mental muscle. The problem is that many people want strength without resistance. But you cannot be developed without being tested. You cannot gain wisdom without facing situations that require it. Adversity is life's way of asking you, how bad do you want it? Are you willing to keep going when no one claps? Are you willing to be faithful when it's not convenient? Are you willing to believe when nothing around you looks like the vision God gave you? These are the questions adversity demands. And how you answer them determines whether you grow or give up. Look at the people who've made a difference in history. Not one of them got there without struggle. Not one of them avoided hardship. What separated them was not talent. It was how they responded to resistance. They didn't run from the fire. They allowed the fire to refine them. And that's the challenge for you today. Are you allowing life's pressure to produce something in you, or are you just trying to escape it? Because escaping adversity doesn't make you stronger. Enduring it with wisdom and faith does. Every mountain you climb increases your altitude. Every storm you survive increases your authority. Every obstacle you face with courage sharpens the gift inside you. You may feel like quitting, but don't confuse pressure with punishment. Just because it's hard doesn't mean it's wrong. Just because it's delayed doesn't mean it's denied. What if the adversity in your life is the very thing God is using to prepare you for what you ask for? You can't pray for elevation and resist excavation. Something must be dug out of you before something great can rise through you. Let the adversity do its work. Let it strip away the unnecessary. Let it break pride, stir hunger, and awaken faith. Because on the other side of pressure is a version of you that you've never seen before. Most people see resistance as a signal to turn back. They assume that if it's difficult, it must not be right. But what if that's the very reason it is right? Resistance confirms direction. The opposition you face is often not a sign that you've missed the path, but a sign that you're on the right one. No one bothers to block a person going nowhere. The enemy does not waste energy on distractions that have no destiny. If you feel resistance, if you're encountering pushback, delay, or discouragement, it may be because you're moving towards something that matters. Purpose attracts pressure. The greater the assignment, the more intense the opposition. Consider an airplane. It doesn't lift off without resistance. In fact, it's the very force pushing against the plane, the air pressure, that gives it the ability to rise. If the plane waited for perfect conditions, for total calm, it would never leave the runway. But it leans into the resistance, accelerates into the wind, and that's what creates lift. In the same way, if you avoid every obstacle, you'll stay grounded. But if you press into the resistance, you'll find yourself rising. Now ask yourself, why do you expect a smooth path to a great purpose? Why do you assume that difficulty means disqualification? Sometimes the moment you start walking in your assignment is the moment the real fight begins. Not because you're wrong, but because you're finally doing something right. The resistance is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to develop you and confirm that your movement has meaning. There are people who stopped moving forward the moment things got tough. They had a vision, a goal, a dream, until life pushed back. And because they didn't understand the role of resistance, they sat down, gave up, and called it God's will. But what if the resistance wasn't a stop sign? What if it was a test of persistence? Think of athletes training in a gym. They don't grow by lifting what's easy. They grow by pushing against what resists them. The burn, the tension, the struggle, that's what builds strength. Without it, the muscle stays weak. The same principle applies to your calling. Without resistance, your faith stays small. Your discipline stays soft. Your capacity remains limited. Even in nature, this principle holds. Trees that grow in forests where the wind blows strongest develop deeper roots. It's the constant resistance that drives them to anchor themselves deeper into the ground. And maybe that's what your resistance is doing, forcing you to dig deeper, believe harder, trust more fiercely. Maybe you've been praying for God to strengthen you, but He's answering that prayer with resistance. Don't mistake the storm for a curse when it might be your confirmation. The fact that you feel like quitting could be evidence that you're getting closer to something significant. Many people give up right before the breakthrough. They stop pressing when they should have leaned in harder. They interpret resistance as rejection instead of recognizing it as refinement. Sometimes the closed door, the denied opportunity, or the criticism isn't there to block you. It's there to build you. It's teaching you how to endure, how to persevere, how to stay focused on the vision, even when the path is painful. Because if you can't handle resistance, you can't handle responsibility. If you quit when things get hard, how will you carry what you were born to lead? Ask yourself, what would happen if you didn't back down this time? What would happen if you stood your ground and kept moving forward, even through the resistance? What if the very thing that's pushing against you is the wind that will lift you? Don't despise resistance. Let it confirm your direction. Let it remind you that you're not just existing, you're advancing. When life gets hard, it's easy to think that quitting only affects you, that walking away from the dream, the assignment, the calling only impacts your peace, your time, your comfort. But that's not the full picture. Your perseverance impacts others. You are not living in isolation. Your obedience is connected to someone else's breakthrough. What if your survival isn't just about you? What if someone else's direction, courage, or deliverance is waiting on you not to give up? This is bigger than your feelings, bigger than your schedule, bigger than your convenience. When God gave you that vision, He wasn't thinking of just your future. He was thinking of the people tied to your obedience. In 1 Kings 19, Elijah the prophet was exhausted. He had just called down fire from heaven, but now he was running for his life. He sat under a tree and told God, "I have had enough, Lord, take my life." In that moment, he was ready to quit. But what Elijah didn't realize was that his journey wasn't over. Because there was a young man named Elisha waiting to inherit his mantle. Had Elijah given up, Elisha would have never stepped into his destiny. That's the principle. You may be tired, you may feel like nothing is working, but someone is watching, someone is learning from your endurance, someone is depending on you to finish. Have you ever considered how many people are silently watching your life? People you've never met. People drawing strength from your ability to stand when others fell. Maybe a young person sees you keep showing up at work even when life is chaotic, and it teaches them consistency. Maybe someone in your family watches you remain faithful in your walk with God despite loss, and it gives them hope that faith can endure pain. Think of a lighthouse. The lighthouse doesn't move. It stands tall in the storm, shining its light so others can find their way. It doesn't chase ships. It doesn't yell. It simply stays lit. That's what your perseverance looks like. It becomes a point of reference for others who are navigating darkness. It says, you can survive this. Keep moving. There's still hope. Your perseverance is not just personal, it's prophetic. It speaks into future generations. When a mother decides not to quit, even when she's tired and overwhelmed, she's not just making a choice for herself, she's shaping the worldview of her children. When a leader refuses to compromise, even when no one is watching, they are preserving a legacy of integrity that others will follow. But let's be honest, there are moments when quitting feels easier, when walking away seems more logical, when giving up looks like peace. And in those moments, the temptation is to forget the weight of what you carry, to forget that you are part of something much larger than your current frustration. Ask yourself, what if Martin Luther King Jr. had stopped after the first death threat? What if Nelson Mandela had broken in year 10 of his imprisonment? What if Ruth had walked away from Naomi instead of staying with her, not knowing that her obedience would position her in the lineage of Jesus Christ? These were ordinary people who chose extraordinary perseverance. And because they didn't give up, the world was changed. You don't always see the ripple effect of your decisions. You may not know whose life you saved by staying faithful. You may never meet the person who turned back from suicide because your testimony gave them hope. But know this, what you carry matters. What you endure speaks louder than you think. So the next time you feel like quitting, ask yourself, who might need me to finish this? Who is watching my fight to keep going? Because if your perseverance can be the reason someone else keeps standing, then quitting is no longer an option. There's something dangerous about quitting. It doesn't just delay your progress, it disconnects you from the very reason you were born. You were created with a divine assignment. That assignment comes with purpose, with impact, with eternal value. When you quit, you don't just walk away from a task, you walk away from a calling. And that's why quitting aborts divine assignment. Every person is born with a specific intent in the mind of God. You are not random. You are not a coincidence. You are not here just to make money, buy things, and die. You are a solution to a problem in the earth. You are a key designed to unlock something no one else can access. But keys don't work when they're dropped halfway. Assignments are not fulfilled by people who almost finish. Have you ever seen a pregnant woman stop carrying at month 7 because she got tired? No. She may feel pressure, discomfort, even pain, but she keeps going because there is life inside her. The same is true for you. There's something inside you that must be delivered. And when you quit, it's not just a decision, it's a miscarriage of purpose. It's cutting short what was meant to live through you. Imagine a builder walking off the construction site with the foundation only halfway laid, the walls unfinished, the roof undone, rain pours in, dust gathers, and nothing works as it should. That's what happens when we stop building the life, vision, and calling we were assigned. Incomplete assignments leave spaces exposed, gaps that were meant to be covered by your obedience. Now ask yourself, how many things were supposed to be built through you? How many lives were supposed to be impacted by your business, your ministry, your leadership, your creativity? What books never got written? What doors never opened for others because you never stepped through yours? This is why the cost of quitting is always greater than the comfort of it. The decision may feel light in the moment, but the impact is heavy for generations. Sometimes people stop because they think they're not good enough. They believe the lie that someone else could do it better, faster, more successfully. But God didn't give them your assignment. He gave it to you. He trusted you with it. That alone is evidence you have what it takes to finish. Think of a relay race. Each runner has a section to run and a baton to pass. If one runner drops out, the team doesn't win. The race doesn't just belong to the one holding the baton. It belongs to everyone depending on that baton being passed. That's what your life is. It's a segment of a larger race. You have a baton that must be delivered to the next generation, the next voice, the next leader. So many people stop in the middle of the race because they misjudge the fatigue. They forget that the finish line is often just beyond the pain, that the greatest resistance comes when you're closest to release. And here's the truth. Comfort is a terrible indicator of purpose. If you're judging your assignment by how easy it is, you'll never complete it. Some of the most impactful work you'll ever do will feel uncomfortable, inconvenient, and uncertain. But what would happen if you pushed through? What would you see on the other side of endurance? Who would rise because you refused to fall? What legacy would be left because you refused to let go? You can't measure your progress by how you feel. You measure it by how faithful you are to the assignment. Because when you quit, the assignment doesn't disappear, it waits. It sits unfinished, incomplete, longing to be fulfilled. And someone, somewhere, is still waiting for what only you can carry. So now you understand. Your pain has purpose. Your adversity reveals your potential. Resistance confirms your direction. Your perseverance impacts others. And quitting aborts your divine assignment. You are not designed to give up. You were born to endure, to rise, to finish. Every challenge you face is shaping the strength you need for what's ahead. And every step you take forward, no matter how difficult, is proof that you are still in the race and still destined to win. Don't let temporary pressure rob you of permanent purpose. Stay planted, stay focused, stay faithful, because what's inside you is bigger than what's around you, and someone is waiting on the other side of your perseverance. Thank you for listening. Stay strong, stay committed, and may you walk boldly in your assignment. Good luck, and never forget, you must not give up.